I will beat Noah Lyles.
You think so?
I will beat Noah Lyles. And guess what? When I beat him, I'm going to put on a COVID mask.
In today's video, we're going to be going over the numbers. If Tyreek Hill could beat Noah Lyles in a 50-yard dash, we're going to be looking at Tyreek Hill's 40-yard dash and comparing it to some of the numbers that we saw with Noah Lyles in his Olympic 100-meter championship. We're going to hop right into the video here. So starting off, we have the video of Tyreek Hill. And if you don't know, Tyreek Hill offered Noah Lyles recently a contract to be able to race him in a 50-yard dash. I do think that there's probably more opportunity for Tyreek Hill to be able to win if it was a 40. This is a hand time 4:21. The official time ended up being a 4:29. And so what we're going to look at here is first we'll take a look at Noah Lyles and what he was doing in the 100. And so we could see at the 40-meter mark within the 100, he was at 4.76. And at the 50-meter mark, he's at 5.61. 50 meters is going to be closer to 54 yards. And the 40 meters is going to be closer to 44 yards. Whoops, 40 meters is about 44 yards. So the first thing I wanted to do was look and see if Tyreek Hill could beat Noah Lyles in at least like maybe a 40-meter race, just based off the numbers that we have. And so what we see here is when he's at about 37 yards, right about there, it's 8:23, looking at the time here. And then when we see him passing the 40, it is 8:53. So 0.3 seconds for a 3-yard margin, right? And that's the reason I say that is because going back to this, we know that 43 yards is 40 meters. So we'll add another 0.3 onto what he ran in the 40, so 4.29. Add another 0.3. Now we're looking at a 4.6-ish in a 40. And we look at this with Noah Lyles, and he's at 4.76 here. But this is with a reaction, and you get disqualified automatically if you get faster than a 0.1 reaction. And so he at least can take off 0.1 with that. So that's going to be closer to a 4.66. And that means it's to be a pretty close race within the 40-yard mark. 4.6 around for Tyreek Hill. Again, it's a little bit longer than 43 yards. And so, but he's probably gaining more speed. So you could probably say that he could probably do that in, 0.3 is a good estimation. So about 4.66 in a 40-meter race. A big part of what ends up being a difference here is we're talking about elite level starters that are able to react very well to a gun in comparison to a NFL athlete that's used to running a 40-yard dash that would be based off his own go. So it's very different in terms of what it is that you're going to be able to do at a very high level. I would say Noah Lyles definitely has the edge in that reaction time and therefore could probably beat him off the line or have a quicker reaction, and then that would be an advantage for Noah Lyles in comparison to Tyreek Hill. And then another thing that I wanted to look at was, okay, so we're going to be adding another 10 yards. So it's not the 40, it's the 50. So let's see how fast the splits are, right? So now we're going to be looking to see, to me, he's passing that 30 to about 7.6 right there. And then we already saw him, and it's hard to say for sure what that is, but we already saw him passing here at about 5.3, okay, which would be a 0.93 split for 10 yards, which is definitely not great considering that the 10-meter split that Noah Lyles had here was a 0.85. And that's 10 meter. That's longer than the 10 yards. So it took Tyreek Hill about 0.93. And again, that's within a 10-yard mark. So we'd have to take some time here off of Noah Lyles, probably closer to 0.82, maybe 0.81 in comparison to the split that Tyreek Hill was running, which was about 0.9. So going off the numbers here and kind of the estimation that we have so far, we're going to be at about 40 meters, which would be 44 yards. And Noah Lyles would be at about maybe 4.66-ish, somewhere in there. And Tyreek Hill would be at about 4.6 flat. Again, this is just based off of these numbers. We don't really know exactly what Tyreek Hill's reaction times would be. It would probably be more, but with that being the case, then it would actually be a very close finish because now we're talking about another 6 yards, 6-ish yards, a little bit more than that. And while Noah Lyles would be running a lot faster than Tyreek Hill, again, based off the numbers, we're talking about probably 0.81-ish in terms of his 10-yard fly, or maybe 0.82 in comparison to Tyreek Hill's, which is closer to a 0.9 10-yard fly. So Noah Lyles would definitely be catching him, but the big question would just be, is Tyreek Hill able to pick up a good amount of distance within the reaction time, which again, I think that Noah Lyles is more used to having a good reaction time, so I would probably give that edge to Noah Lyles, and then also be able to have a better start. So Tyreek Hill is really relying a lot on his start, but I think that Noah Lyles actually has a fairly good start, especially considering what he's able to do on the back end. Yeah, he didn't do the best in this. He had the worst first 10-meter split, but this is among some of the best sprinters in the world. I mean, the Fred Curley has a great start. Let's see, Tobogo, Lamont Jacobs at 187. That's phenomenal. You know, some of these guys have a very, very elite starts, and so I wouldn't say Tyreek Hill would be able to even match close with these guys. So I think that Noah Lyles will stay pretty close at the beginning and just wouldn't have it enough. Tyreek Hill wouldn't get enough separation to be able to beat him even in 50 yards. I think that Noah Lyles, depending on how much it is and what the situation is, I think that that's going to be fairly easy money for Noah Lyles. He's going to obviously have to run hard, and it's going to be a fairly close race if it's only 50. The further it goes, we know that it's going to be more of an edge for Noah Lyles. I mean, obviously with the 60-meter, 6:44 here when he ran the 100, where Tyreek Hill's closer to 6'7". You know, it could be argued that he didn't run as hard, but it's still going to be a fairly close time there. It's not like he has a history of running a lot of sub 6'5". Tyreek Hill doesn't have a history of running a lot of sub 6'5". To me, I still think that there's an edge for Noah Lyles there in running the 50-yard dash, but I'd definitely be interested to see. Let me know what you guys think down below, who's going to win, and if you think that Tyreek Hill would be able to have the edge in the start and enough of the edge in the start to be able to finish off the 50-yard race. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.